All right, today we are diving into something called DePIN. This is a crypto trend that's literally moving beyond the screen. It's all about building the actual physical stuff for the internet of the future. So, you've definitely heard of Bitcoin, right? And you've almost certainly come across DeFi, or decentralized finance. I mean, these have been the blockbuster stories in crypto for years. But what if I told you the next big wave isn't just about digital money? What if it's about real-world hardware, real-world services?
Well, that's exactly where DePIN comes into the picture. Now, this isn't some brand new idea. It's been quietly building steam for a while, but now it's really starting to hit the mainstream. And you're going to want to remember names like Helium, Akash, and GeoWeb, because pretty soon they could be just as common as hearing about Ethereum or Solana.
And the scale we're talking about here, it's just staggering. Some analysts are predicting the DePIN market could blow past $1 trillion by 2030. Now that sounds crazy, but think about it. It starts to make sense when you realize it's aiming to take on the giants in cloud computing, energy, and telecom all at once. So what in the world is this thing?
Okay, at its heart, it really all comes down to one simple idea: people-powered infrastructure. DePIN is all about a massive shift in who owns and operates the physical nuts and bolts that our digital world runs on.
So, DePIN, it stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. Yeah, it's a mouthful, I know. But put simply, it's about creating networks of real-world stuff. We're talking Wi-Fi hotspots, data storage, even raw computing power that are built, owned, and run by a whole community of regular people, not, a few giant corporations.
Let's make this super concrete. Think about it like this. Instead of a single company, like Amazon Web Services, controlling the entire cloud, you get something like the Akash network, where people like you and me can chip in our spare computing power. Or, instead of giant telecom companies building all the cell towers, you have people setting up their own little Helium hotspots to create Wi-Fi coverage. See? It's a direct, people-powered alternative.
Okay, but the big question is, why would anyone bother to do this? Well, the incentive is baked right into the system. The contributors, the folks actually providing the hardware or the data, they earn crypto tokens as a reward for participating. This is where the blockchain comes in, right? It's the magic that makes it all work, creating this trustless way to prove you did the work and get paid automatically. So you're not just a customer anymore, you're a part owner of the network you're helping build. That's a huge shift. There's a great analogy for this. It's like Uber meets blockchain. But, and this is the most important part, with one massive difference. Instead of one company sitting in the middle, taking a giant cut and calling all the shots, the platform itself is owned and run by the community, by the drivers, so to speak. That is the absolute core of the DePIN model.
So what's pouring fuel on this fire? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is one of the biggest buzzwords in tech right now: artificial intelligence. Turns out, the connection between AI and DePIN is, well, it's like a perfect partnership. They need each other.
Here's how it works. It's this perfect feedback loop. First, AI models they're just unbelievably hungry. They need massive, and I mean massive, amounts of data and computing power to get trained and to run. Step 2, getting that power from the usual suspects like Amazon or Google, it is ridiculously expensive. So what happens? DePIN steps right in, offering a much cheaper, decentralized option. And then, as AI keeps getting bigger and bigger, its insane appetite for these resources just keeps fueling more and more growth for DePIN. It's a cycle.
And you better believe the big players have noticed this. We're talking about companies like NVIDIA, the company basically powering the entire AI revolution with their chips, and major crypto investors like Coinbase Ventures. They're already putting their money into DePIN projects. That's a huge vote of confidence.
Look, this isn't just some theory or a white paper. This stuff is happening right now, out in the real world. So let's take a look at a few projects that are already live and running.
For example, you've got Helium. People set up these little hotspots in their homes to create a network for Internet of Things devices, and they earn tokens for doing it. Then there's Akash, which is basically building a decentralized cloud just for AI computing. You've also got Render Network, where if you have a powerful gaming computer, you can actually rent out your GPU's power for AI training. And of course, Filecoin, which is a decentralized way to store all that massive data that AI needs to function.
And this is what makes DePIN, I think, so much more relatable than some of the other really abstract crypto ideas out there. We're talking about tangible, real-world stuff, things you can often see, touch, and most importantly, things you can actually take part in yourself. So this really brings us to the big picture, right? What we're witnessing is this massive, collaborative project to build the next generation of the internet. And maybe the most exciting part is figuring out where you,
where all of us fit into this new network. If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. DePIN is not just some niche little trend. It is actively building the physical backbone, the fundamental infrastructure that's going to support the entire future of AI and the decentralized web, what we call Web 3. And that really leaves us with a pretty fascinating question, doesn't it? We've established that these networks are owned by their communities, by the people. So in this quiet revolution that's happening right under our noses, the real question isn't if this new infrastructure will be built, it's how you can become part of the network.
Subscribe for the full AIX blockchain series. The future starts now.